Hello and welcome to my channel. Obviously, if you're here, you're learning how to draw a cartoon. Make sure you pick your format. I chose the square just because due to how the photo is, I work better with how that style is. We're going to start with blending first, and now I'm not using the normal blending. I just have the brush on normal, and I'm kind of taking my time due to this being sped up. I'm just kind of taking my time and finding the color that matches most to what I'm drawing. Like, if you understand that, you just pick up the color and basically add it to where it matches. Also, keep in mind that you want to go with the direction of this skin, because the direction kind of matters. Because when you blend, it'll look kind of rocky almost, and you don't want it to look like that. So as you can see with the ear, I'm going down, and as I'm going down, I'm kind of turning my direction to the lobe of the ear. And the photo that I'm using is a photo trade with this follower I have on Instagram. Make sure that you're starting with a new layer when you're moving on to your next body part, because you don't want the drawing to overlap. So here I did a new layer, but it's under my last layer. So if I were to draw a stroke, it wouldn't go onto the ear. So whenever you go to do a different section of the skin, you make sure you have to do that. It saves so much trouble, and when I first started, I didn't know that you could do that, and so I spent a lot of time erasing, doing it again, erasing, do it again, and that's something that you don't want to do, so keep that in mind. Around here is where the neck starts to curve, and you can see my strokes are curving with that as well, so that way when I change my pencil to blending mode, it'll make it so much easier. You could do it already on blended, but I can't seem to figure out how to make it blend well enough unless I do it this way. Your neck and ear should look like this. We are moving onto a new layer and beginning with the hair, again doing the same strokes, the same direction. You can change your size to your preference. I usually keep it on the same size around. For the hair, I do it smaller just because it's for more detail and it looks more like hair. And for the dark parts, you don't really have to color those all the way in. As you can see, my layer, it looks kind of weird, but I never I never continuously keep it on the same size. Sometimes I change it. With his, I didn't change it very often just because he had very thin hair. And I also did another layer under the hair, and I took a darker color and I went under it so that covers up those patches, so it looks natural, kind of like it's supposed to look like that. And so when you zoom out, and you can see it's kind of getting put together, and the more you look at it like this, it kind of starts to set in and look like hair for the most part. See, zooming out, you can see that the hair looks like hair now. And now when you're moving on to the side of the hair, go with the direction. Don't go randomly, because it'll look funky, because you don't do anything with the hair after this. It's those strokes and then you're done. So if you do a mistake and you're gonna have to press the back button 86 times to fix that one piece that you didn't see, I understand that's irritating, but I have to deal with it, and so will you. And as you can see, the hair is looking like hair, which is what you want. This is what it should look like when the hair is all done. And now we're moving on to his beard. And as you can see, it's kind of difficult to tell where the strands are going, but as you continue on, you'll kind of see them and start to know what direction, and if you are drawing, because sometimes I do have the difficulty, but make sure you are going the direction of the hair. If you want to make his beard look thicker, make it look thicker. If you want to make her hair more voluminous, if you're doing a girl, do it. Do something that throws in your personality into the drawing. As you can see, I click off the picture and turn invisible so I can see the normal hair, and I continuously draw those tiny strokes, which I changed the size of my pencil to the smallest one, which helps with making those thin hair-like strokes, which you are gonna want to continue to do until you have to make another layer under that to darken it, just like you did with the hair. When you're finishing up the beard, add another layer underneath it so you can fill it out, and it'll look something like this when it's done. And add a layer underneath and see those like white spots that you're missing that don't look full and they look kind of patchy. You want to fill those in so that way it looks more like a beard. If every man wants a thick beard, you better give him one. And so as you're doing this, you want to take your time and make sure it doesn't look like it's colored in, where it looks natural. Kind of like near his jawline, I kind of messed up there, but I didn't want to take the time to fix it just because I was kind of hurrying this, but I was having fun. Here's what the actual picture should look like with your drawings on top of it. Adding another layer and putting it underneath the skin, and you're going to do the same thing that you did with his ears. You are going to go the direction of the skin and occasionally check to see if there's spots that you're missing, fill in the scalp, do things that you would normally do when you're filling out the skin. This is so important because if you don't do this, it'll just look funky and you do not want it to look that way. So when you're blending, make sure that you do light strokes. This is also what it should look like when you are almost done filling out the face, which is in my opinion, it's the biggest thing that people are going to look at. So you want to make it look as nice as possible, as realistic as possible. So the angle and direction does matter. Adding a layer after finishing this, add a layer under it so you can do the lips. You pick up a color, add it into the direction, and then after you're done with this, you want to add another layer under what you just drew. So outlining the lips as clean as possible, as natural looking as possible, so that way when you do your new layer with your lips, you kind of fill it in the angle that the lip is. So you kind of want to curve the lines to his lip. As you can see, each stroke is kind of curved, and you want it to do that so that way when you blend it, it'll look slightly curved, like his pout is there and it doesn't look weird. You know what I'm saying? So we're starting off with a new layer now, and you're going to go to your settings, and instead of normal, you're going to go to the middle one, which is blend, and you're going to change the opacity or the flow to as light as you can get it, and you pick up the same colors and you kind of fill it in so that way it blends in together. And you're going to be using the same technique when you go to blend your skin, so that way it will look natural, and that's how it's supposed to look. I also go back to the top layer and I blend those top lines in to make it look all connected. So as you can see, the lips are being put together and they look nice. I don't know if you can really say that lips look nice, but they do. Now moving to the skin, you are going to do the same thing. You're going to do the same exact thing. You're going to pick up a color, fill it in. So those bald spots that are kind of on his skin don't matter, because as long as your opacity is dark enough, you'll be able to fill it in just fine. And that's kind of like what this skin should look like when it's blended. So it should look smooth and seamless. There shouldn't be any bumps. It's okay if there's the occasional one, because you can't really prevent that unless you spend a lot of consistent time on that. And I personally, I can't do that, so I don't know how some people do it, but I just can't. So right where his eyebrows are supposed to be, we aren't going to worry about that. After skin is blended, it should kind of look like this. And his hair should look like this as well. His beard should be full. And his neck should be blended. So your cartoon's being really put together right now. And as you can see, I don't have his eyeball done yet. So I'm adding another layer and I'm tracing his jacket. And when you trace his jacket, you want to add a layer under his jacket, so that way you can just fill it in like crazy, and then when you're done filling it in, you can go through and erase that. It makes filling things in a lot quicker, because it's not like Adobe Illustrator where you can just fill it in. You have to actually manually do it, which sucks, but it works. So like, here's adding the layer under the jacket and filling it in like crazy. You'll see those lines there, kind of like the folds of his jacket. You'll kind of see those, but you won't see them a lot, just as you do in the picture. And you want to make sure that it's under your main layer, so that way you're not drawing over the work that you just did. And now after just doing all of that, I resized all of the layers. I transformed all of them to make it smaller, because I'm going to kind of make this kind of a profile picture almost for like Instagram or Facebook even. So I took the acrylic brush and I changed it. I changed up the texture. I did this so that way it adds kind of like a little bit of like funkiness to it, because you don't see a lot of cartoons with the acrylic paint background where it looks like somebody painted it and then the picture kind of looks like realistic. I really like that, and I chose blue because blue was kind of like complementing his hair, I guess. I just liked how it looked, and I picked a darker blue to add little rings in. And also, when doing the picture and you go to erase the outside part, just take the circle stencil and erase it like that, so you get a smooth, clean line, so you don't have to worry about anything else, like it being uneven or anything like that. As you can see, I do erase in a circle, but my layers aren't put together. You want to keep those apart until you can erase it all at once, just as I'm doing. So I do his shirt white because I have no idea but I was really feeling a Where's Waldo kind of thing. So I did red lines in his shirt, and I'm also not very good at doing clothing. I'm not sure how to get the texture correct and all of that stuff, especially when you're doing everything from your device instead of like a computer and stuff. It's a lot harder to achieve that. So yeah, I mean, basically once you're done, if there's any lines, you erase them, and this is what it should look like. Adding a little more white because I did try yellow and yellow just didn't work out. So when we're going to start moving onto his eyes now, considering that we haven't done them yet. So you want to do the pick up a color, add it in, pick up a color, add it in, and you want to do it as the angle of his eye. So you want to trace that and outline his eye, so that way you can get a kind of like an exact shape of what his eye is supposed to be, so that way when you go to color it and blend it, it'll look more realistic. And I kind of just traced everything. Basically, I picked up a color, added it in, picked up a color, added it in, and it soon came together. So then I just add his eyelashes. I mean, guys don't really have long eyelashes, and in the picture he didn't really have visible ones, so I just kind of did makeshift ones, and they kind of looked okay. So I lined his eye with black and then added eyelashes on the bottom as well. Now, I told you not to worry about his eyebrow, but now we are starting to do his eyebrow. You pick up the color, add it in just like the strokes of his hair, but you want to do it in the same exact angle, and you want to check your cartoon to make sure that it fits, so it looks like it's supposed to be there and it doesn't look funky. So you want to have that there for sure. Now we're moving on to his other eye. I just kind of traced his eyeball because it was black, so I just traced it with black, and then I filled it in with black along with his eyebrow. I did the same exact thing, and because there was spaces in between his eyebrow, I kind of got irritated, so I just it kind of just looked like that, so I just started filling it in like crazy until I could get it to blend, until it looked alright. And it kind of looked really funky for like 45 minutes, and I just couldn't do it, so I just took my time. And with that being said, when you were all done with the eye, he looked like this little masterpiece right here. If you like this video, subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching.